Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we're going to be reviewing the new Lexus GX550. Before we get in this video though, as always, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into it. Powering this GX550 is a twin-turbo 3.4 liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 15 around town and then 21 on the highway, with power outputs being 349 horsepower and then 479 pound-feet of torque. Before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention, if you're going to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, I think it's really cool how it's raised there on either side. You can see the very upright windshield, just like a G-Wagon, just like a Defender. And then a really cool headlight design here. I think the little indicator down below is pretty cool looking as well. And then you've got a normal Lexus grille, massive, but then notice they painted it down below, different coloration than the rest of the grille, body painted right, so it breaks it up a little bit. We do have some fog lights here on either side. And so yeah, overall, it's definitely in your face with the styling, but then also distinctly Lexus. Now around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 265 by 50 by 22 in the front and over in the rear. So yeah, on this package, they've gone all out on the luxury wheel design. You got the silver mixed in as well. And then I like how the fender flares are body painted, makes it look a little bit more premium, but this is interesting how it just blacked out there at the bottom. Do have power side steps with this as well. Got the boxy mirror caps there. And speaking of boxy, if we take a few steps back, this is where you can see really boxy with the side profile. And here's the key fob. We have our lock and unlock function. You got the opening for the hatch. You got the Lexus logo on the back, and well, we'll pop her open. Now this leads us into the rear of the GX. So we've got the third row folded down right now. You've got quite a bit of space with that third row folded down. We've got these controls here to raise it and lower it and all that. So we'll raise the one side. It does take somewhat of an obnoxiously long amount of time to raise it. As long as this is reliable, this electronic control, I'm okay with it being slow. So that's what I'll say on that side of things. But you can see, yeah, very little amount of space once the third row is folded up. And then with the headrest, just like most cars, it's manual. Anyways, when you're all done, just press that and that will lower the hatch right back down. Got this light bar design here on the back. Still not sure how to feel about that, to be honest. GX550 down below, bezel that covers the receiver hitch. The benefit of this over the Land Cruiser, this is a sibling vehicle with, is higher towing capacity. And, well, that's the rest of the rear. Now taking a look at the door panel in the back. We've got the sunshade back here. You've got nice trim. Solid, again, this is a pre-production car, but solid fit and finish with this, even being pre-production. I like that trim right there. And then here are the seats. Really nice material use. We'll quickly pop in. So you got this grab handle to help with getting in. The side steps are kind of pointless, if I'm being honest. Legroom's pretty good. Got a little storage pocket there. We've got our own climate zone here in the rear. We also have heated seats as well. Some USB ports on top of that. And with the boxy design, it's got pretty good headroom. So in the third row, of course, legs are pushed up a bit. Headroom back here, I mean, it fits, so it's actually not too bad. I can recline the seats back here. There's a USB port as well. And then you got some storage right there. And you got a window, so it makes it feel a little bit more open. But yeah, this is definitely a kid third row. Now take a look at the front door panel. Again, soft touch down below as well. And you got the brown trim to match. All of our window controls, mirror adjustments. The mirrors do power fold in. We've also got blind spot monitoring with the mirrors. If you're wondering, payload capacity is 1,235 pounds. And then here's the front seat. Again, with all that perforated trim, adjustments and everything on the side. And then you can see we've got our memory seat function. You got stuff like open up the hatch, for example, your collision assist, all of that. Steering wheel's power adjustable as well. And that's very like squared off with the dash. So taking a look at the steering wheel, of course, Lexus logo front and center. You got paddle shifters there on the back for that 10-speed. Practical controls on the front, including stuff like adaptive cruise control. It also has the lane centering. Nice trim all around with the steering wheel. And then you got your regular stocks here on the back too. So we've got this full digital gauge cluster here, pretty dang customizable in terms of, you know, the information that you can have displayed on the gauge cluster, so I think that's great. I think the coolest part though is the drive modes, so got like a fun animation for the different modes. It does take a second for the whole thing to load up once you select a mode though, but you know, it changes the gauge cluster a little bit as well, so I don't know, I think that's fun. 360 camera system, solid resolution, Toyota Lexus, right, they've done a good job with their modern camera system. And then as for the infotainment system, quick response time, I mean, it's easy enough to use. The one thing that I will say I have a little bit of beef with is this section down here. It's part of the screen, so you always have access to the climate controls. You have heated and ventilated seats, by the way, automatic if you want, dual zone climate, all of that. That's fine. It's just the fact that it's a part of the screen that I don't like. I think it would have been better if they would have just basically had that and then just had this as physical controls down below, but that's my 2 cents on that. This is interesting. This is just for a cigarette lighter, but just like how over-engineered that little piece is. I think it's kind of funny. And then we've got our drive mode select here. Got your ECT second to your tow haul mode, stability control, and also got the little camera button right here. Speaking of tow haul, we do have trailer brake controls integrated from the factory. Shifter for that 10-speed. See with the parking brake and auto hold. Got some cup holders here. And then this does have a 2-speed transfer case. It's 4-wheel drive all the time. Center locker. With this one, you can get a rear locker on like an Overtrail. You got the wireless phone charging pad. Cool box for the center console. Nice trim on the top. Dash is soft touch. You got some storage up above. And then glove box. Pretty good storage there. Nice trim. Camera rear view mirror. And then we do have a panoramic sunroof up top. And this leads us to a window sticker of sorts. Like I said, this is a pre-production car. But you can see MSRP is equipped, roughly it's $84,395. I think after destination it's $86 roughly with it. But yeah, this is basically as loaded up as it gets for a GX550. You can get an Overtrail basically with this interior. It's the Overtrail Plus. But this is like the Luxury, well, Luxury Plus. That's literally what it's called. Let's drive it. Let's talk about visibility before we set off. Visibility of the hood, both the mirrors. Throw out the rear. Let us set off. Heading off in the GX550. So you guys have probably seen quite a few comparisons with this new GX550 because I've had this as a demo for the week and I'm trying to compare it to everything that I can because I think these are sold out for the next like year or two, and so I won't be able to do any dealership comparisons for quite some time because there won't be any of these at dealer lots. But first off, seat comfort's really good, and I actually really like how this vehicle drives for the most part. I do have some beef with certain elements and I'll talk about that, but overall it drives well. It handles much better than the previous gen GX, the 460, and it's also significantly quicker. Like, it's actually got power. The GX 460, you know, super reliable engine, but didn't really have all that much power. But a huge difference between this and the 460, I'd say, is this is firmer, right? They've made it so this kind of has more sports car type handling, whereas the 460, that was not a thing. It was all about being comfortable, floaty, and then, you know, rugged. This still has some of that ruggedness, but it's yeah, it's definitely firmed things up to be more sporty. So overall, it drives well. It's kind of like a more affordable G-Wagon in terms of how this drives. I talked about that with the Lexus LX too. Has that kind of like tank-like feel. A lot of people like that, but you know, they want a tank-like feel, but they also want something that handles well. They don't want the big floaty truck-like feel. And so that's kind of what Lexus has done with this. Solid engine. It's got great power. So let's talk about my beef. First off, there's wind noise up there. It's noticeable. I've got a buddy that has this is a pre-production car, but I've got a buddy that has a full production with the roof rack, and he says it is horrible with the wind noise. Roof racks always make things loud, but yeah, with this new boxy design, you got wind noise. So that's a downside. And then with the firmer suspension, right, better handling, but it is firmer. It doesn't have that same floaty cloud-like, again, it's not uncomfortable, but it's not the cloud-like luxury experience you get with a 460 or with a, you know, LX 600 or a 200 series Land Cruiser, for example. So there is that part, but you can see it handles really well. This doesn't drive super truck-like, even though it's body on frame with a solid rear axle. So all in all, I think that Lexus did a great job with this new GX550, but I think that some people are going to get this thinking it's a rugged off-roader, and it can do some off-roading, but it's not like a traditional rugged off-roader. This is a new style of vehicle, and a good way to put this is like a white-collar off-roader, whereas the previous gen GX or the 200 series Land Cruiser is kind of like a blue-collar off-roader, right? They've kind of, I mean, it's full-on luxury car in here, but they've made it so it has like sharp handling, all that kind of stuff, so you don't have to really concede anything in terms of on-road driving dynamics. Some of you like that, but you lose, what I would say, you lose some ruggedness, because this doesn't feel quite as tank-like as, you know, a GX 460 or as a Land Cruiser. It's softened up quite a bit. It's like the difference between someone who weightlifts with gloves versus someone who doesn't, right? The person who doesn't is going to have these big meaty calluses. They both weightlift, but one of them is going to be a little bit more rugged than the other. So the Lexus GX550, it's the person that weightlifts with gloves. So let me know what you guys think about the new GX550.